Hi guys, Matthew here for WritersBlockBrewing.com with a quick intro to this video interview with brewmaster Roland Allen of Oroville, California's Feather Falls Casino Brewing Company. Mr. Allen gives us insight into his humble home brewing beginnings. I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did. Roland, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Roland Allen. I'm the brewmaster here at Feather Falls Casino Brewing Company. I've been brewing beer for about 31 and a half years. I started home brewing in '83 under that false delusion that I could make it cheaper than I could buy it, you know. Started brewing big dark beers. I was an extract brewer at the beginning, which most home brewers do and should do. It kind of cuts the process in half, that you can learn half at a time and not get overwhelmed. And I started by just making big dark beers just because that's what I liked. It ended up being a pretty forgiving scenario in that I was able to make big, strong, robust beers and have repeatability in my beers, have big flavored beers that masked all my imperfections and lack of brewing skill at the time. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a great way to start. I bought a couple little stainless pots. I had a 2-gallon and a 3-gallon. I would basically do high gravity brewing, and at the end of my 3-hour brew day, I would take my hot wort and dump it over a block of ice, and that was how I chilled my wort. Let it sit about 15 minutes like that until it temperated, threw my dry yeast in, and away I went, not knowing any better. But like I said, being big, bold flavored beers, they all came out pretty drinkable. Rarely bottled. I was too lazy. To be honest, I ended up trading some home brew for a whole bunch of soda cans. So we would brew, we'd put it in this, after we ferment it in a glass jug, we'd put it in these soda cans, carbonate it that way. But being poor at the time and cheap, I didn't have a kegerator, so when the beer was ready, I'd invite a bunch of friends over, we'd blow the pressure off the keg, pull the lid off, and start pouring pitchers right out of the can. We had some great parties, obviously, but I didn't have beer all the time. I certainly bottled a few times, had the unpleasant early experience of having my bottles blow up, which is even less friendly when you're making a big, robust, dark beer, if you can well imagine. And so that also turned me off on bottling. Later, I bottled again more some, but get into a draft system right away. It cuts the work in half, which doubles the joy.
Thank you, Roland. Could you go into some detail about describing your brew system, the first system that you brewed on?
It was pretty much a couple stainless pots would make this high gravity wort, so I'd measure out a bunch of dry extract, which is what I was doing at the time, hydrate it with the water, and between the two I'd boil down to about 3 gallons of finished wort, but then I would put on 2 gallons worth of ice, my 7-gallon plastic tub that had a little seal on it and a little fermentation lock on it, so that was my fermenter. And then I put it in a can, add my 1.25 cups sugar to it like homebrewers do per 5 gallons for carbonation, let it ferment there in the can and chill it down and start making phone calls.
And what year was this?
That was 1983, and over the first 12 months we did over 100 batches. It was literally every weekend we would do 1, 2, 3 batches. Gnarly Stout, that was the name of the first one that we made.
And so when did you make the transition from using extracts to all grain?
It wasn't really until I got hired at Sierra Nevada in 1986. I got hired there actually to work on the bottling line. My first job there was putting flagging neck labels back on Celebration Ale, one at a time as they came by. It was a lot of fun. And but I only got stuck there in the bottling line for about 3 weeks. And they had a position to open up in the brew house, and so boom, I was in the brew house. And once I got in the brew house, and of course, being a small micro craft brewery as they were back in those days, they were all grain. And so from learning to brew there, obviously I learned how to all grain brew. Immediately set out on building an all grain half barrel system for home, which I brew on to this day.
And can you describe that system?
Sure. It's all made of the old Golden Gate kegs. They were the kind of the barrel shaped ones that were around in the 70s and 80s. As they were the ones kicking around used and nobody wanted to use anymore, and were perfect vessels for me to make my system with. So I had 3 of them. I have one that is my kettle then, and it has a valve coming off the bottom, and I've made this little hop wand inside it to hold the whole hops back. So that's my kettle. I have a lauter that are my mash tun, and I've made an all stainless false bottom for it with little tiny holes in it, the 5/64 of an inch diameter holes that the brewing Bibles tell you is the right space for lautering with, sealed down with a rubber seal. So that's a half barrel keg too. And then I have my wort receiver, or what's called a whirlpool, which is also a keg. And so once I'm done boiling, I'll take my wort, put it in that tank, swirl it all around, and then I built a counterflow chiller with 50 feet of half-inch copper tubing to chill with. I do my primary fermentation in glass carboys, my secondary aging and serving in one of the now 20 Cornelius kegs that I currently possess. So I have quite a fleet of those. And I got 10 glass carboys. When I get going, it gets a little crazy around my house. So.
When's the last time you did a brew at home?
I'm probably almost 10 weeks removed. We do Roland's Red, my favorite beer in the world, and modestly named, obviously, here as a seasonal over the holidays. So I was good at home, but now we're out here, I'm out at home, so here in the next couple of weeks I'll be brewing. Certainly not 100 times a year anymore. It's more like half a dozen, 8, 10 maybe on a busy year.
So some advice you can give for a beginning home brewer?
Well, outside of what I already mentioned, take on beers with robust flavors. Don't be afraid of just starting with extract. Certainly in time you'll want to probably expand to all grain, but at the beginning just do extract and then focus on learning hop utilization, working on sanitizing and keeping everything clean. There's plenty to worry about in that part without even starting to get into all grain.
Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that. To check out the brewery tour which Roland gave me while I visited the Feather Falls Casino, please click the link below. And please subscribe to stay updated on My Beer Story, which is an episodic series which highlights my adventures in home brewing. Thank you again.